Top 10 amazing and interesting facts about coronavirus. Discovered at the end of 2019, the coronavirus that causes the disease, COVID-19, has become a real problem for all mankind. Now, in 2020, all countries are focusing their efforts on finding a cure and vaccine for this scourge. The disease has affected each of us in one way or another. During this difficult period for the whole world, every citizen tried to contribute to this struggle. We observed the measures of quarantine and self-isolation, followed all the orders of authorities, and didn't leave the house without extra need. At the moment, the number of cases is decreasing. Countries are gradually weakening quarantine measures, and air traffic between countries will soon resume. Although the pandemic has brought tragedy to many families, it's become part of our lives. Let's read about 10 amazing facts about the coronavirus together. Number 1, the younger you are, the less likely you are to become infected and have complications. And dozens of times, scientists have found that older people over 80 years of age are most at risk. The death rate in this group is 14.8%. The risk of becoming a victim of coronavirus is also sharply increased by chronic diseases like cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, respiratory diseases, and high blood pressure. It's also found that the higher the age of infected people, the higher risk of death. At the age of 70 to 79 years, it's 8%, and from 60 to 69 years, it's 3.6%. The younger a person is, the more likely they are to recover from the coronavirus infection. In the 10 to 50-year-old group, the mortality rate increases with age from 0.2 to 0.4. Among patients aged 50 to 59 years, it's 1.3%. It's also interesting that those infected with coronavirus, there are almost no children under the age of 10 years. The mortality rate for men is 2.8%. It's significantly higher than that for women of 1.7%. For some reason, women's mortality rate is about half that of men. There are also several cases when women being infected gave birth to children. In no cases was the virus transmitted to the child. 2. Cornelia Raz became the oldest person in the world to be cured of the coronavirus. Cornelia felt ill on March the 17th, a day after she celebrated her 107th birthday. The Dutch newspaper AD says she and other residents of a nursing home on the island of Ger-of-Laken, located in the southeast of the Netherlands, took part in a religious ceremony after which 40 people were diagnosed with coronavirus. 12 old people have already died. Number 3, medical masks do not provide absolute protection, especially on the street where they're quickly clogged with dust. But it's still necessary to use them since this significantly reduces the risk of infection spreading. The most effective measure for curbing the epidemic of the coronavirus that causes the execution of the decrees of local authorities on the compliance with isolation and quarantine. If people stay at home, the chains of infection are broken. 4. One unaccounted for patient can infect many hundreds or even thousands of people if it's not detected and isolated in time. On average, each carrier of a new coronavirus manages to infect from 2 to 4 healthy people. This number is higher than that of seasonal flu, 1.3, but lower than that of measles, 12+. But 2 or 3 infected people are not the limit. According to the same research, a month later, one patient becomes the cause of the infection of more than 400 people. This is the scenario of the spread of the disease in recent months observed in those countries where precautions were not observed and infected people were not isolated but continued to be in society. Number 5. The epidemic has had a positive impact on the global environment as the number of harmful emissions to the atmosphere and the world's oceans has sharply decreased. For example, after the introduction of emergency mode in New York, city traffic decreased by 35%. In this connection, exhaust gas emissions have decreased by about 50% in a few days. Carbon dioxide and methane emissions have also decreased. The air over China, America, and Europe has become cleaner. The muddy canals of Venice have also been cleared, although there are no dolphins there after all. China is the world's leading emitter of greenhouse gases. Measures taken by the country's authorities to contain the new type of coronavirus have led to a reduction in production in key industries from 15 to 40%. As a result, carbon emissions were reduced by 25% in a month. But experts believe that after the end of the pandemic, the consequences may be adverse as all countries will begin to restore the affected economy with a vengeance. Number 6. In the Chinese media there was information about a family that all the time when Wuhan was under quarantine lived in the very market that's considered the epicenter of the epidemic in China. No member of this family was infected. At the same time, the first diagnosis of COVID-19 was made to a woman named Wei, who was engaged in the sale of a live shrimp in the market Huanan. Number 7. In South Korea, the virus has been contained while the number of cases has not reached 30, but the woman codenamed Patient 31 infected 1,200 people at once. It turned out she was very religious and continued to go to church despite coughing and a high temperature, ignoring the orders of the Korean authorities. The outbreak followed a funeral service for one of the founders of Shincheonhae Church, which lasted for 2 days, from January the 31st to February the 2nd. In one room, about 1,000 people were performing the ritual, sitting close to each other on the floor, and this was an excellent condition for the spread of the virus. Number 8. Most patients, more than 80%, do not need medical assistance at all. They're treated at home with remedies for the common flu and usually recover in around a week. A significant number of people carry the disease in a mild form or even without symptoms at all. The problem is such an asymptomatic patient doesn't feel bad himself and does not even suspect that he's infected, while remaining contagious to others. Hospitalization is required for about 1 in 5 or 6 people who become ill. Most elderly people and or those who already have chronic diseases, in severe cases about 4%, then the patient must be connected to a ventilator. There may not be enough if there are already too many cases. Some automobile companies switch to the production of ventilators. Number 9. In the DPRK, the coronavirus was banned by the decree of authorities, as some media reported that it was simply forbidden to talk about it. The American journalist is convinced that North Korea has COVID-19 cases. To the authorities she does not trust because of the transport communication with China. The border is over 1,400 miles. I find it hard to believe. In late March, it was reported that North Korea, which had previously denied having anyone infected with the coronavirus, had secretly asked for help in fighting the pandemic. It was noted that Pyongyang asked the international community to test for more people for infection. Sources stressed that DPRK's health system is too weak to withstand the pandemic. A similar situation was also reported in Turkmenistan, another close country. 10. At the end of January, Republican Senator Tom Cotton announced the possible artificial origin of a coronavirus infection. He noted that in Wuhan there's only 4th level biosecurity superlab in China that works with the world's deadliest pathogens. In addition, the assumption of infection with coronavirus in a laboratory in Wuhan was put forward by the Fox News channel. According to the TV channel, the spread of the coronavirus began accidentally after one of the institute's employees became infected during research. The version about the artificial origin of the coronavirus was carefully tested by several teams of scientists from different countries and rejected as untenable. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, the number of people infected with coronavirus in the world exceeded 5.9 million people. More than 367,000 died. According to current data from Johns Hopkins University, more than 6.1 million people were infected worldwide, and more than 369,000 died. Despite the fact that there's fewer new cases of infection and more people recovering, we ask you to take a responsible approach to safety measures. If possible, do not visit particularly crowded places, spend more time outdoors, and try to refrain from travelling abroad. Take a closer look. There may be so many amazing places in your country that you wanted to visit, but postpone that trip. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Thanks for watching. Why not subscribe by clicking the bell button?